and drop me some suggestions that way. It happens from time to time. Chat room activity is usually pretty light, but from time to time we have some insightful people that show up and have conversations, and sometimes it steers the show in a different directions. My favorite was the guy who called up and wanted to talk about insectoids from other dimensions. I love that kind of shit. Alright, alright, so yeah, drop on by the chat, just drop a topic in there. You want me to talk about that? We'll do that too as well, but okay, so let's get right back into the heart of the matter here. We were talking about evolution, and I've started losing my cool, and oh Lord. Okay, so anyway, alright. Yeah, and you know what? Okay, everybody knows what fucking evolution is at this point, right? Okay, yeah, they do. So, and we're all familiar with the different arguments on various sides. And once again, I don't see why there has to be an argument. I don't see why there can be evolution and creation at the same time. It's because they want to make it a political issue. They want us to fight. So, all right, paleontology. Let's take a quick look at that. It should be interesting. Ready? I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's the study of dinosaurs. But oh, it's just like ancient man, whatever. Remember the Neanderthals? Yeah, one of my favorite theories about these Neanderthals is they never really went away, they never really left, they just turned into Italians and the French. No, I take it back, ladies and gentlemen, it's a horrible joke, and I take it back. No, but seriously, there is truth in that joke, only in the respect that I don't really mean they turned into Italians and French. I mean, it is claimed that that pretty much we are the descendants of Neanderthals, in the respect that at the same time there were Neanderthals, there was also Cro-Magnon man, or almost what we would call Homo sapien man. They sort of existed at the same time on this planet. And so it's claimed that the Neanderthals never really went away or became extinct. They just sort of got absorbed into the Cro-Magnon. They interbred with the Cro-Magnons and the Cro-Magnons and Homo sapiens, and this is what we have today. Basically, a crossbreed of Neanderthals and Cro-Magnons and Homo sapiens. Do you buy that? I mean, I've met a lot of guys that look very Neanderthal. I don't know about you guys, but I've actually met people who really. I mean, it's just like if you let them grow a beard and throw them back in time or whatever, they would fit right in with the Neanderthal clan. But so, all right. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this paleontology stuff, I mean, it is extensive. So, we're just going to touch over the bullet points here. And, yeah, because this is actually a subcategory of what I wanted to talk about, but, all right. I'm just going to go a little bit into about paleontology and about fossils, and then do a little bit about early humans, or you guys might have heard of this, the mitochondrial Eve, that they say that all of our human DNA can be tracked back to this woman in Africa, and that is what they call the mitochondrial Eve. So yeah, I'm just going to hit the bullet points on this stuff, and yeah, keep in mind that all this is eventually we are going to get to the ancient astronauts. I'm just trying to lay some background. And like I said, it's this is going to be like a 5, 6, 7-part series. It's not going to be like one show. So bear with me. All right, about paleontology. All right, how about a definition? Paleontology is the study of the developing history of life on Earth, of ancient plants and animals based on the fossil record. Evidence of their existence preserved in rocks. This includes the study of body fossils, tracks, burrows, cast-off parts, fossilized feces, or what's known as coprolites, and chemical residues. How's that for a definition? A quick overview of paleontology. Modern paleontology sets ancient life in its contexts by studying how long-term physical changes of global geography, paleography, and climate, paleoclimate, have affected the evolution of life. Modern paleontology studies how ecosystems have responded to these changes and have changed the planetary environment in its turn, and how these mutual responses have affected today's patterns of biodiversity. So, paleontology does overlap with geology, which is the study of rocks and rock formations. Paleontology also overlaps with botany, biology, zoology, and ecology, fields that are concerned with living creatures and how they interact. Another, subcategory of paleontology is palynology. P-A-L-Y-N-O-L-O-G-Y. It is the study of pollen, whether modern or geological. Okay, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to spend too much time dwelling on this because, you guys studied all this before. You know what I'm talking about. And I just want to bring up this topic of early humans, the mitochondrial Eve. You science geeks out there will know, or not even science geeks particularly, but, this is the theory that... Well, it's not even really that much of a theory anymore, but we can all be genetically linked back to this one female in Africa. And her name, they call her the mitochondrial Eve. So just touch on that real fast. She lived 200,000 years ago. Granted, she was not a human yet. She was a hominid, but a hominid species. She also wasn't like what we would call an ape. It was an ape-like creature that walked very similar to an Australopithecus. An ape-like creature that walked on its hind legs. And 200,000 years ago, this is where humanity sprang from. It is claimed by a lot of these guys. So you believe that? You don't believe it? Hey man, once again, I know I rant and rave and I get pissed off because, people don't agree with me or whatever, but still, even that being said, I'm a big proponent on do your own study and make up your own mind. I mean, God knows I've been wrong once or twice in my life. And I've made 1 or 2 mistakes. So, anyway. Alright. Have you guys ever heard of, I tell you what, guys. I mean, shoot, I can go into this scientific and mathematic background, forever. And maybe I will, but, I think tonight we're going to fast forward, and we're just going to go right into the heart of the matter, shall we? The ancient astronauts. Let's do it. Okay. So, if you've been listening to this show for a while, you'll remember there's theories about Atlantis, and they often link sightings of ancient astronauts to Atlantean spaceships. This goes also to these ancient gods that are called the Zeptepi. This is another theory. This is the theory of the hologram, the holographic projection, that we all live in a holographic projection. Anyway, so yeah, it's claimed that these ancient gods called the Zep-Tepi, I guess, basically created some sort of holographic projection, and that's what we all live in now. I guess they were all heavy-duty gamers, and we exist in their Game Boy, I guess. Yeah, in China, we find theories about an alien race that are called the Dropa, and they left behind fascinating discs. Yeah, I've heard. I would like to talk a little bit about these Dropa. That is an interesting story. All right, yeah. So the Dropa are also known as Dropas, Drokpa, or Dzopa. Dzopa is D-Z-O-P-A. And according to certain controversial writers, a race of dwarf-like extraterrestrials, they land near the Chinese-Tibetan border some 12,000 years ago. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, this fits hand in hand with a lot of this occult stuff I've been telling you about. How these occultists in the West, they look towards Tibet as some sort of great spiritual center, which is, you know, kind of weird, being that we exist in Western culture. But anyway, yeah, they think some kind of, that is where the extraterrestrial or godlike race or what have you first dropped down to Earth. So this is pretty interesting. So on the skeptical side, there are a number of problems with this case and a lack of corroborative evidence, which could offer significant doubt as to the reality of the more sensationalistic Dropa claims. Mainstream critics argue that the entire affair is a hoax. I don't like the mainstream, never trusted them, never will. They're all a bunch of whores. Alleged discovery. Chi Pute, a professor of archaeology at Beijing University, and his students were on an expedition to explore a series of caves in the pathless Himalayan mountains of the remote Bayan Kara Ula in Qinghai, on the border of China and Tibet. The caves may have been artificially carved to be a system of tunnels and underground storerooms. The walls were squared and glazed, as if cut into the mountain with great heat. They found many neat rows of tombs with short 4-foot 4-inch skeletons buried within. These skeletons had abnormally big heads and small, thin, fragile bodies. Sounds a lot like our modern-day Greys, right? A member of the team suggested that these might be the remains of an unknown species of mountain gorilla. That's kind of an interesting theory as well. I'd like to hear more about these mountain gorillas. Yeah, I mean, I like the mountain gorilla theory as well. I mean, because have you guys ever heard of mountain gorillas? I mean, I guess in Africa they have what do they call those? The graybacks, or aren't they supposed to exist in the highland? Yeah, the mountain gorillas, but. Yeah, I mean, can you imagine that? Mountain gorillas living in the Himalayas? That's pretty interesting in and of itself. Professor Chipute was said to respond, "Who ever heard of apes burying one another? There were no epitaphs at the grave, but instead hundreds of 1-foot wide stone discs. These were the Dropa stones, and they were found to have 3/4 inch wide holes in their centers. On the walls were carved pictures of the rising sun, moon, stars, the land, mountains, the lines of pea-sized dots connecting the earth with the sky. Along with the discs, the cave drawings had been determined to be about 12,000 years old." All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take another break, and on the other side of this, we'll talk more about these Dropa stones. And we'll be back right after these words.